James Harrow Valley triumphs that didn't need a spotlight, the kind etched into your core like a song you can't unhear. After 4 decades crafting furniture tables and cabinets for strangers, Homesh earned his quiet. His house, perched on the fringe of a sleepy suburb by a dry creek and a forgotten trail, wasn't chosen for charm or neighbors. It was for space, room to breathe, to carve, to be left alone. The street was mostly retirees and weekenders, while VYing politely but keeping their distance. Perfect. The property came from his uncle, a loner who died VYing a deed, a faded survey map, and a notebook of garden plans and half-drawn shared designs. James planned to sell it, but the house's stubborn warmth hooked him. He fixed the roof, refinished floors, and turned the backyard shed into a workshop, letting his city lease lapse. A nephew built him a website for custom orders. The income was modest, but James didn't chase wealth, chased silence. Until Diane Voss decided he didn't deserve it. Diane, 2 doors down, lived in a sterile, beige rancher, its fake lawn gleaming, her mailbox sporting a fake security sticker. She ruled the neighborhood council with a zeal that felt like vengeance. A week after James moved in, she handed him a glossy rulebook, her smile sharp as a blade. He thanked her, filed it away, and forgot it. Diane didn't. It started small, flyers about unkempt lawns, gripes about his delivery vans, clashing with the street's VYB, then letters claiming his shed broke setback codes. James countered with proof the shed predated him, city approved. He thought logic would end it. Instead, Diane turned a 30-foot strip of his backyard wild grass and cottonwoods by the creek into her battlefield, claiming it was community land, donated by his uncle for a future park. James had ironclad proof, a 1980s survey, a recent digital map, the deed. Diane didn't care. She sued, demanding the land and damages. James hired a lawyer, Sarah Klein, not out of fear but foresight. Diane fought dirty, thriving on wearing people down. The case dragged 7 months. Diane spun tales of verbal agreements, and showed a grainy photo of her cat on the land years ago. Sarah shredded her claims with dated maps, aerial shots, and old owners affied of VYTS calling Diane a liar. In court, James sat silent as the judge ruled in his favor. No donation, no easement, case dismissed with prejudice. Diane paid his fees. Her parting whisper, "This isn't done," wasn't loud, but it was venomous, a promise of worse. James rebuilt his fence, cleaned his yard, and buried himself in walnut and cherrywood, expecting more letters or appeals. He didn't expect the 5:43 a.m. pounding on his door 6 days later, not a knock, but a battering ram's prelude. Voices barked, boots crunched gravel. Before he reached the hall, his door splintered. Tactical vests, flashlights, rifles, SWAT stormed in, yelling for him to hit the floor. James, calm but deliberate, complied, wrists zip-tied as they tore through his home. Neighbors gawked from porches. Diane stood among them, hand to mouth, phone in the other, feigning shock. An hour on the curb, then the truth trickled out. An anonymous tip, a prepaid phone, claimed James planned retribution for losing the case, his shed rigged with explosives. The irony stung one. Released after hours of questioning, no charges, no apology, James returned to a ransacked home, hinges broken, tools scattered, picture frames shattered. Neighbors' eyes now held fear, not curiosity. Diane vanished from the fray, no gloating, no flyers. The silence was worse than her noise. James knew she'd orchestrated it, though proof was thin. The call cited his casual courtroom remark about fragile property rights, twisted into a threat. Someone had listened, weaponized it. He replaced the door, changed locks, added cameras, scanned for bug defense, not paranoia. A week later, a manila envelope arrived, no stamps, just his name. Inside, 5 photos: his shed from behind the fence, his workbench through a window, him fixing a garden bed, his business license circled, and a 1997 news clipping about a factory fire he'd worked near decades ago. The message: "Saw we know everything." Saw James sat with the images, water glass in hand, feeling his life reduced to a dossier. A city inspector came next, tipped off about chemicals in his shed. She found nothing, but her precision checking exact drawers, a locked cabinet screamed insider knowledge. Nighttime camera alerts showed shadows, no faces, just the shoulders outlined beyond the fence. James realized the SWAT raid was the opener. The real war was this slow, creeping dread, designed to unravel him until he snapped. He didn't. He hired a security consultant, ex-military, cash paid, who installed layered locks, cameras, and a signal scanner catching late-night bursts, someone probing his systems. Sarah dug deeper, uncovering a zoning appeal filed post-ruling by a nonprofit tied to Diane's husband, Mark Voss, a retired engineer who'd lurked silently during her earlier VY sits. The appeal, cloaked as community repurposing, used a shell entity with no staff, no number, just a P.O. box. Sarah blocked it with an injunction, then found Mark's name on zoning file requests, tying him to the bureaucratic assault. Things escalated. His workshop side panel was unscrewed, screws neatly stacked, nothing to keen a taunt. Disturbed soil appeared in his yard, marked with chalk. The chalk vanished overnight. Cameras caught a 2-minute blackout, a lens smeared with sap. Sarah filed a harassment claim, but one proof was elusive. Diane's counsel emails, uncovered via public records, revealed her pre-lawsuit plotting, pushes for wellness checks on disputing owners, development bans, even watchtowers near James's land. Most failed, but the intent was clear. Framed him as a threat from the start. A fake city letter hit his post office box, citing non-existent codes, signed by a retired official. James gripped it in his car, the paper crumpling. This wasn't about land, it was personal, a siege to break his sanity. He checked into a motel 2 towns over, not from fear but to preserve his clarity. Returning, he found a card in his mailbox. "Saw we missed you." Saw no signature, just a vow that they'd strike again. James fortify new locks on the fuse box, water valve, triple-checking cameras. Sarah's records showed complaints against him from neighbors who denied filing them. An email from Diane's counsel mused about escalation for safety. The neighborhood turned cold. A once friendly baker crossed the street to avoid him. A photo arrived showing James's silhouette in his bedroom window at night, snapped from the street. It wasn't just invasive, it was surgical, proof they knew his every move. A man stood on his sidewalk at dusk, cap low, staring, Leah vying when challenged. The consultant flagged a signal bridge near his garage, siphoning data in bursts. Sarah found forged signatures on a new zoning push, accusing James of hostile interference, with a fake recording. Then, a mailbox check revealed a tiny RFID beacon taped inside, pulsing for weeks, planted by someone who'd walked his property undetected. Sarah called it a turning point. A city staffer leaked proof, fake inspections tied to Mark's old login, used late at night from his business's IP. Sarah confronted the city. They offered to resolve it if James ceded land. He refused. Sarah filed a criminal complaint, forgery, harassment, planted de VY says and froze zoning actions. The case grew teeth. The nonprofit collapsed, its appeals barred. Diane's porch emptied, her house listed for sale, curtains shut. A neighbor's note apologized for silence. Saw I'm sorry I didn't speak. Saw James didn't forgive or condemn, understood power's grip. Diane moved out, her car slipping away mid-morning, no glance back. The city suspended 2 staffers, reform permitting. James worked less, sketched aimless lines, let his yard grow wild unapologetically. On his fence, he nailed a cedar plank, burned with 2 words, saw still standing. Saw no one tested him again.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.